I'm very good, thank you. We had a great night last night celebrating the Pacific Business Awards.
Okay,
So it was good to be in amongst it with our people and celebrating their success.
okay, we'll talk about that later. But sad news this morning. The former Prime Minister of New Zealand, Jim Bolger, the 35th Prime Minister of New Zealand. How much do you know about him?
Look, I grew up during the 80s and 90s, particularly the 90s. I'm recalling when he was Prime Minister. And over the years, I feel like
Hmm.
Labor had more and more to do with him.
Hmm.
He made a lot of progress during his time as Prime Minister on treaty settlements. And I think we'll hear a lot from Māori about that over the course of the coming week.
Hmm.
Them grateful for the progress that he was able to make alongside iwi.
Hmm.
And even following his career as Prime Minister, he did a lot of work with Labor, the Labor government.
Yeah.
He helped set up Labor's Kiwi Bank. He was the first to chair it. He became a big supporter of workers' rights and
Hmm.
supported fair pay agreements and
Right.
other things. He certainly will go down as in history as a prime minister to be remembered
Hmm.
with a legacy.
Right. Okay. Is there any highlight of his life during his political life in the Parliament of New Zealand that really motivate you or help you during your time?
Well, I mean, I think, during the early 90s, it was quite a difficult time with the economic changes that the previous Labor government had implemented and that National had then kind of supercharged.
Hmm.
And it did have an impact on our lives, without being negative. It was a
Yeah.
time of turmoil,
Right.
turmoil in New Zealand,
Yeah.
and many New Zealanders found themselves out of work. New Zealand got back to the place that it needed to be.
Yeah.
I'll always recall Jim Bolger being on our news screens
Yeah.
as a family watching the 6 o'clock news at night time with all of the politics that was going on at that
Right.
time.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Carmel, for sharing that. Okay. Let you did mention the Pacific Business Awards last night. What was the highlight of the night to you?
Oh, lots of highlights.
Yeah.
Just bringing together successful Pacific business people, I think, was really important and to be celebrated. Many of them talked about the fact that it's been tough and they've
Mm-hmm.
had to be resilient
Mm-hmm.
for their businesses to survive what has been quite a difficult time with the economy. But they were celebrating having got through that. They talked a lot about collaboration and working together. And many of them talked a lot about the support they got from the Pacific Business Trust, which I think we shouldn't underestimate the worth and value of.
Mm. Okay, since you are the spokesperson for the Labour Party for Pacific Peoples, I'm sure lots of our business people listening to the program this morning, what sort of challenge that you want to keep them, Carmel?
To our Pacific businesses?
Yes, please.
Well, I think that challenge of continuing to work together.
Mm.
What we saw last night was where they were collaborating, where they were connected with other business people, that support was everything.
Mm.
And so my challenge is to continue doing that, do that even more, take our people along with you. Where you have success, share that success with
Mm.
others who have innovative ideas, so that we can grow our business community, so that we can
Mm.
grow the number of jobs for our people, and so that we can grow our economic prosperity
Mm.
as a community as well.
Mm. Okay, Honourable Carmel, what I found out the last few weeks, the polls, Labour is doing really well on the latest polls since last week. Tell me, Labour has been sharpening its focus on jobs, health, and homes. What specific policies are being prioritised to address these areas?
Tavai, you have gone very quiet, but I caught the beginning of what you were saying around the recent polls. And so I'm assuming you're asking what my thoughts are on them.
Mm.
I think it's fair to say that New Zealanders are disappointed with this government, that they haven't delivered what they promised, which was with the main thing being relief with the cost of living. That people are struggling with unemployment and losing jobs
Right.
and being able to pay the basics, like putting food on the table and
Mm.
their electricity bills and their rents.
Yeah.
And they've seen a government who have introduced things that actually they didn't sign up for, that were not campaigned on. Things like the tax breaks for landlords of $2.9 billion, changes to our smoke-free legislation, a range of different things, and they certainly didn't receive the relief that they were told they were going to get. So I think the polls are a reflection of that. On top of that, I think there's a general consensus that our Prime Minister is not showing the strength of a Prime Minister, that all too often he has been dictated to by his coalition partners, and that David Seymour and Winston Peters have far too much power in this relationship. And so there's real concern about the leadership from our Prime Minister.
Okay, you've spoken about Aucklanders' concerns around cost of living and safety. What is Labour proposing to ease those pressures, Carmel?
So we haven't announced our policy yet, although you can expect to hear some in the coming weeks. But our focus will continue to be what it's always been on, Tawai. You can expect that Labour will announce policy that is focused on looking after families, that we will be focused on making sure that workers are taken care of, that we will be looking to support, our low and middle income New Zealanders who are struggling at the moment. And so I think, without giving away anything on the policy, that you can expect us to be heading down that track. Also, currently we have a government with no economic plan. You can expect Labour to have a very strong economic plan.
Right. Hon Carmel, you recently called Budget 2025 a three-juror scam for Pacific families. Can you explain what you mean by that and what Labour would do differently?
Well, there are things that they did through this budget that have an absolute impact on Pacific people. One example, of course, is scrapping pay equity legislation. The lowest income earners in this country are Māori and Pacific women, and they stood to gain from the pay equity legislation. Now that's been ripped away. That's going to have a direct impact on their incomes in the coming years, on their ability to support their families and contribute to their families. And then that has a flow-on effect to our communities and what they're able to contribute and do in our communities. And so, that's a classic example of where the National Party with New Zealand First and ACT, where they've made a decision that on its surface, you may not think that it impacts Pacific, but it impacts Pacific, particularly Pacific women, incredibly.
Right. Okay, Carmel, inflation may be dropping, but you've said many families are still struggling. What measures would Labour push to ensure economics relief reaches those most in effect?
Yeah, so, I think the thing is that what we have is, still high rates of inflation, but we also, alongside that, have high rates of unemployment. For the country, it's 5.1%. For Pacific, you're talking about 12%. There's been no effort from this government to put a focus on job creation or job retention. We've seen 20,000 fewer jobs in the construction industry as a result of this government pausing infrastructure projects. And also we've seen job losses or hiring freezes in the health sector. So not only is our health system under stress, but there are not the numbers of people being hired that need the jobs. So you can expect to see Labour focus on job creation, job retention. We won't be doing what the current government have done and just stopping projects for political purposes, because we know that has an impact on our families and on their ability to retain work.
Right. Okay. My final question, Honourable Carmel. You praised Chris Hipkins for fostering a collaborative and calm opposition. What's the biggest difference in Labour's internal culture now compared to previous years?
Our internal culture, Tawai? Yeah,
yes.
I tell you what, when we were in opposition last time, it was very chaotic, and there was a lot of internal factions and arguing going on. We don't have that this time. There's people like myself and Chris that were around during those very tumultuous times in opposition before. And we know how important unified leadership is, and making sure that the team feel valued and that they're able to contribute, and that we're showing a united front. And so I think you're seeing that now. You're not seeing the internal frictions of the past, which happened with National, which happened with Labor before. We're unified and we're focused on one thing, and that is winning the next election so that we can serve our people.
Okay. Hon Carmel, whawhatai tere lava, mahalo, and thank you for your time. Maria Naso.
Whawhatai lava.
Whawhatai lava.